Michael Katz stops by to talk about what we might have missed in the Ole Miss LSU game. We talk about Trinidad. We get you ready for the biggest game in Oxford, Mississippi since, last year. Anyway, this is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a tenured veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We bring in the ace reporter of the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal, Michael Katz, to scratch that serious journalism itch that we're all itching to get through before this LSU game. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen. Please give us a like, a subscribe, and a comment on your way out. Check a second listen on the network. Nearly every college and pro team is available. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later in the highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Listen, Michael, this is the second leg of the Lane Kiffin revenge tour. And I do think that the ESPN E60 documentary is absolutely factual, that Lane is trying to be a better person. I also know that Lane can be a pretty petty person as well, which means the Kentucky game, which we already know they spent extra time in the offseason on, the LSU game, and the Florida game is going to get special attention, and this is the second leg.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what it's going to be for Florida week. What else does he have up his sleeves?
Yes, seriously, that one at that point. Although I think it would be the most Florida and the most Arkansas thing ever if Florida beat Texas at home and Arkansas beat Notre Dame. That would just be absolutely fitting.
I picked, I'm going to regret it probably, but I picked Arkansas this week.
Yeah, and it's a home game. It's a game that the Hogs are literally 2 fumbles away from being 4-0. I mean, it's probably not time to abandon ship. And if you beat Notre Dame, that's going to generate some excitement for the next part of the schedule. But they're probably going to go 7-5. They're probably going to end up in the Liberty Bowl. But, I mean, I do think it would be hilarious if they beat Notre Dame.
Well, I was told that the Liberty Bowl is where they do their best work, but apparently that was not the case last week.
Man, if it's so stupid with everything, and you get the benefit of hindsight, and Mike Washington is a heck of a running back, but just take a knee and kick a field goal. Memphis's offense isn't good enough to go down and drive and kick a field goal to beat you. Just take a knee. It's almost like a Mario Cristobal effect of that, to where you were just asking it to happen.
That was brutal. That was a brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was worse than the Ole Miss fumble, because the Ole Miss fumble was literally created by TJ Daugherty just ripping the ball out.
Yeah, that was just a good play.
Yeah, the one against Memphis, oh, man, that's just landing on another player and not having tight ball security. But anyway, listen, this weekend on social media is going to be either the biggest meltdown on one side or just the biggest meltdown in the other. I mean, that's the way that works. But this week, LSU fans are starting to talk about an $18 million transfer portal haul versus a D2 quarterback and how that can't possibly work against them in any way. There's no way a D2 quarterback can take down an $18 million transfer portal defense. There's no way they can be run. There's no way that karma pops up and bites them there.
I mean, I saw a pretty highly paid defense here last year lose 3 times. It happened,
including to Kentucky.
Yes, so it's
on this weekend a year ago.
Yes, so strange things do tend to happen. I think the folly of the he's just a D2 quarterback. Yeah, he's a Division II kid. He's a really, really good Division II kid. He's like a Heisman winning type D2 kid. He's also not at a D2 program anymore, and he is surrounded by one of the most talented offenses in the country with the best play callers. in the country. So, it's not just going to be Trinidad Chambliss who is taking on this very good defense. Don't get me wrong. And obviously the money numbers have come out a lot over the last 2 days, but it's not like this is just Trinidad Chambliss versus LSU. This is a lot of really talented receivers and running backs and guys that were brought in to win these sorts of games. So, but yeah, it's a fine line to walk with that sort of trash talking.
Yeah, seriously. And this morning we actually did a podcast about how I described Trinidad Chambliss as an athletic game manager. Everybody likes to put down game manager, and that's the word for a quarterback that can't be the star of the offense, can't be the focal point of the offense. And I think part of the reason that Trinidad Chambliss is having so much success is because teams are trying to figure out how to take him out. They're trying to treat him like Austin Simmons or Jackson Dart or Matt Corral, the typical Lane Kiffin quarterback. And this isn't that. This is somebody that can run when things break down, has the ability to make plays, but his real talent is distributing to multiple wide receivers and kind of just making the trains run on time, so to speak, and just letting those guys that are paid so highly, these elite skill players, just let them be themselves. This is not an Austin Simmons. This is not a Jackson Dart. This is just a quarterback that is like a souped up, super athletic AJ McCarron, if that makes sense.
I think the thing that's been the most, or I guess the thing I didn't realize he was as good as he was at is the ability to make the explosive plays without putting the ball in harm's way, because usually those things can kind of go hand in hand. There's some risky throws if you want to make big plays downfield, but none of his throws have really been in harm's way. He's throwing it right where they need to be. They're perfect. They're on the exact side of the shoulder they need to be. He's got plenty of arm. I think we've dispelled that one. Now there were a couple of throws against Tulane that, maybe LSU's defensive backs make better plays on, but who's to say what would happen? I think the bottom line is that you're getting the explosive offense, the chunk plays that you expect from Lane Kiffin's offenses without the risk and without the turnover problem. And then let's be honest, the first 2 games, that looked like it was going to rear its head at some point in a big game. The turnover was actually going to cost them. And it didn't in those first couple games, almost did against Kentucky. But they figured things out. These last 2, if Trinidad turns the ball over a couple times against Arkansas, they probably don't win that game.
If they get a holding penalty in the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean,
one of those drives. Yeah,
they played so clean, and I know it's not all because of Trinidad. He doesn't control when they hold and all those sorts of things, but they've just played a very clean brand of football the last couple of weeks, and I think the not putting the ball in harm's way is a really big part of that.
Yeah, and it's amazing to where you look at whenever you talk about. I mentioned game manager, athletic game manager, and how clean the offense can look and how much that helps the defense. So when we come back, we will talk about the defense that Pete Golding put on the field against the Tulane Green Wave and why the number one key to the LSU game might be stopping the run. So stick around with that. We'll talk about Michael, talk with that to Michael when we get back. But first, I do want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. Those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, they keep the game moving forward. This week's moment, to me, that moved the game forward is Deuce Alexander's touchdown catch at the end of the Tulane game. He explicitly showed elite body control. He's made similar catches in 3 different occasions over the last couple of games. He's been a major spark plug as defenses just try to figure out who to double team for Ole Miss right now. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Hey, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever audio podcast you're listening to, and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing but keeps all of this free. If you want more, join the Insiders program in the subtext link below. No trolls, 14-day free trial, and the easiest way ever to cancel. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. All right, so Michael, the one thing that I was impressed with, this Tulane offense has been relatively explosive over the last 3 weeks, and Ole Miss just completely shut them down. And it's a G5. The Ole Miss defense is supposed to be pretty good, yada, yada, yada. But the thing that got my attention is they struggled all year stopping the run. Georgia State, Kentucky, Arkansas, they struggled to stop the run. But in the second half of the Tulane game, I don't know if it was a confidence thing. I don't know if it was a schematic thing. Whenever Tulane needed 1 yard, they couldn't get it.
Yeah, and again, it's been the talking point the first few weeks is this rush defense, is the rush defense fixable? Is there a real problem? I think the final number was like Tulane ended up rushing for like 178, but I think not all yards are like created equally. Like they weren't an important 178, right? And I think the biggest thing too is not a lot of it was from Retzlaff, who was had 100 yards and 4 touchdowns the week before against Duke. I think he had one decent
like
run,
35, 40,
something like that. But other than that, it was really uncomfortable for him back there. I mean, they held Tulane quarterbacks to 10 of 29 passing for 104 yards. So they completely took away the passing game, and they were able to shut down the run. It's obviously it's going to be a different test this week against LSU, and I know we're going to talk about LSU's run offense and the things going on there, but at least from like the second half of Arkansas and what we saw against Tulane, I don't know if it was a schematic difference. I don't know if it was guys being in better position, but they just seemed, like you said, a lot more confident in shutting down the run and really shutting down everything.
And it started cascading a little bit because it was 10 points, I think, at the end of the last 2 quarters of the Arkansas game, and it was 10 points over the duration of the Tulane game. So over 6 quarters is 20 points, and that will work with as explosive as this offense is. I think the key in this game is going to be stopping LSU's running game. If Ole Miss can, hold LSU to 150 yards rushing, that's all you have to do. If they have the same performance they had against Tulane, they're going to be fine. I think they need to do that and affect Garrett Nussmeier, not necessarily get home, just get him off his spot, make him a little bit uncomfortable from time to time. And good Lord, Pete Golding, let Suntaran Perkins rush the quarterback. I mean, it's time to kind of turn this player loose. If you do those 3 things, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. He does not have a sack yet. And I was going through their sack numbers this year, and this was the team that had 52 sacks, I think, last year, 4 per game. They have 4 right now through 4 games. Cam Franklin has like 12 pressures, and they're just not converting a lot of those opportunities into sacks right now. And those eventually kind of even themselves out. But I mean, LSU averages like 116 yards per game on the ground. Their top running back is on the availability report this week. He got banged up against Southeastern Louisiana last week. This has not been a good running team. If Ole Miss can shut down the run and pin their ears back and really make Nussmeier uncomfortable, they're going to feel really good, because Nussmeier with a clean pocket is really, really good. But Nussmeier, when he has to improvise or he's under pressure, I know he's got better escapability than we give him credit for. We saw that last year in Baton Rouge in that 4th quarter. He got out of a would-be sack from Perkins. But let's be honest, he's not going to take off and run for a 50-yarder most likely. They got to make things uncomfortable for him. So I think the more that you can just shut down the run game, especially if you're not sending a bunch, if you're just able to do it, if your defensive line is able to eat up blockers and you're not spending a ton of resources on the run game, and then you can start bringing blitzes on the edge for the passing game, I think they're going to be really a good spot. But yeah, Caden Durham's really good. Don't get me wrong. But the running game overall has not been particularly impressive. So If Ole Miss struggles against them, I think then we start to think maybe this is an Ole Miss run defense problem. But if they're able to shut it down, like you said, you're not going to hold them to 50 yards probably or anything like that. But 100, 150, anything under. You have to hold them to under their 190. I think that's what Ole Miss is giving up right now. It's got to be well below that, but you have to make them predictable. And like LSU's offense has really not been that explosive this year. I know they looked good last week, but that was against Sela, and Garrett Nussmeier had his best game of the last week. But again, that was against Sela. Against the bigger teams this year, I know he's had some injury stuff, but he hasn't looked like the guy I think we thought he was going to be. I think that if you make them one-dimensional, you've put yourself in a good spot, especially with the type of pass rushers Ole Miss has. Maybe they haven't gotten to quarterbacks yet, but they have the pass rushers.
You want to hear my conspiracy theory from 2024?
Go for it.
All right. The South Carolina game was right before LSU last year. And Ole Miss went to South Carolina. That was the injury faking thing. And that's whenever it hit its full volume nationally. And Lane Kiffin was the face of that. When Ole Miss played LSU, not one holding penalty was called against LSU in that game. I think my conspiracy theory is the officials made a point to say, this is not acceptable. Don't do this. And because of that, they were doing their own little thing. And that is my conspiracy theory.
Yeah, no holding calls against a pass rush as good as Ole Miss had last year. It's pretty alarming. I mean, I know that was a really good O-line last year at LSU. If it's the same issue again, then I think we can look more into the conspiracy because their offensive line is not nearly as heralded as it was a year ago. And, they have an offensive lineman who I think he's missing the first half of this next game because of a really weird targeting call on a field goal attempt. He was their starting center last year, I think. So yeah, I mean, they got to get to Nussmeier. This cannot be another 0-sack game.
Yeah. And obviously Deshaun Womack and Sage Ryan, who have taken a lot of arrows from LSU fans after they transferred. I expect both of them to have really good games on Saturday.
Yeah, it's always, I guess that's just sort of the era of college football that we're in. We kind of got it with Arkansas a couple weeks ago too, with Arkansas fans taking shots at their former guys who are now with Ole Miss. And yeah, I mean, it's always like if they leave your program, you never wanted them. I mean, that's just how it always comes off, right? It's like, oh, well, he wasn't that good anyway. It's like, well, he's a 3 or 4 year starter in the SEC, and the other guy was a 5-star all-everything recruit that you guys wanted really badly a couple years ago. So, yeah, I mean, listen, this is all about opportunity now in this era of college football. If you want to go somewhere else and get what you're worth or what you think you're worth, or you want better opportunity with a different scheme, then it's free agency kind of now. But yeah, I don't know. I always kind of thought taking shots at players was, I don't know. That's not really my thing. These are 18 to 22-year-olds. Just let them live their lives. They're doing what's best for them. If you beat them, and you can be happy about that. But like, I don't know. There's a lot of people wishing ill will on players, and it's a little weird.
Yeah, there's a little bit of venom with all that stuff too. And we're not just talking about just genuine fans on Twitter. There's like a media backlash down in South Louisiana about what was going on. So that is really interesting indeed. All right, when we come back, we will talk a little bit more about this game. We will get predictions and calls and paths to victory and all of that stuff. We're talking to Michael Katz of the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, so stick around. All right, so I do want to let you know it is almost the weekend. It's time to look back one more time and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more money each and every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, right? He delivered in a huge way. It was an early third down in the game. Trinidad broke contain against the Tulane Green Wave and scrambled for a long run, leading to a touchdown en route to a destruction of the Green Wave. when the pressure was on, he came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Trinidad Chambliss is kind of on a streak. And just like Trinidad Chambliss delivered for Ole Miss, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you can save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period runs through November 18th. Hey, and Caffeine just got a flavor update. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus vitamin B and nutrients, all with zero sugar and zero crashes. What I love most about it is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it absolutely anywhere and get that boost when you need it. Honestly, how fast it kicks in is something worth paying attention to, and that it's sugar-free, so you don't have to worry about crashing down. Everybody's seen a 5-year-old. Those sugar crashes are nothing to poke fun at. Enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor update with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store or online at 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com, or at Amazon today. Listen, Michael, in this game, one thing that kind of stands out is this is an absolutely massive game. It's probably, in my opinion, the game of the week. They're at Alabama and Georgia for SEC Nation and all of that because of brand. But if you look at the Vegas line, it's been 1.5 either way, depending on the line. It's almost a pick 'em. LSU coming up to Oxford, where traditionally, if you have two good teams going at each other, the home team usually wins in Baton Rouge and in Oxford. I think this game is setting up for a game of the week and a game of the year type thing. Now, I don't think it'll be like it was 2 years ago, which was absolutely exhausting with nobody playing defense at all. But I think this is going to be a very intense, very hard-fought game that at the end of the day, somebody is going to lose it. And they're going to have to, if it's LSU, they're going to have to pick up a win over Oklahoma at Oklahoma, a win over Alabama in Alabama, or if Ole Miss loses the game, they're going to have to win in Oklahoma, in Norman, or against Georgia. It's not a death knell if you lose, but man, it gets a lot easier if you win.
Yeah, you put yourself in a really good spot. You have a little bit of leeway with those back-to-back road games in a few weeks. I'm not going to pretend I know it's going to happen, but I do feel I kind of have that same feeling I did before the Georgia game last year, where something just kind of felt like Ole Miss was going to be in a better spot than some people think. I didn't know if Ole Miss was going to win that game against Georgia. I felt they had a really good shot against Georgia, and obviously they did. I kind of feel that same way where, this isn't like a perfect LSU team. That was not a perfect Georgia team last year. Obviously really, really good. But I think there's some things that Ole Miss does well that could potentially cause some problems for LSU. And I don't know. Again, that home game, it's going to be a crazy crowd. Obviously, I think fans would have loved it if it had been a night game, but it's 2:30 on ABC. That place is going to be completely full. It's a big rival. It's a huge game. It's going to be electric. It kind of has the pre-Georgia game feeling where, like, yeah, I know LSU's number 4 and they're really, really good, and this is an Ole Miss team that is obviously not as star-powered as last year's team was, but it feels like a little bit of an underdog. And I think they're technically favored right now by a 1.5. Yeah. But this is the number 13 team versus the number 4 team. This feels like one where I think Ole Miss is probably feeling pretty good, and I would not be at all surprised if Ole Miss wins this one and rushes the field.
The funny thing is, all week, and I've noticed this, Lane's had a pretty good week. I mean, that documentary was fantastic, all of that stuff, but he's also when talking about LSU and this team, he's had this cat that ate the canary grin about him all week long. It's like he knows something, he's found something, and he just wants to get there because he thinks this can be exploited. Remember in 2023, Harold Perkins was the all-everything player for LSU, and Ole Miss kind of picked on him in the pass game in that game. I think Lane Kiffin has found something with this defense that I think he thinks he can exploit.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny you bring up Perkins in coverage. I saw a stat today, and I don't remember who it was from, that has not been great in one-on-one coverage this year. We know what he is as a pass rusher. He's elite, and he's a very, very good player. But they did it to him last time, and I know their secondary is obviously really, really talented, and I think that's going to make things tough. The Virginia Tech transfer is maybe the best corner in the country, Mansour Delane. He's been awesome, but it does feel like, again, this offensive staff, especially the last couple of weeks, has been really good at exploiting weaknesses. Like, they have been in their bag the last couple of weeks in terms of just, I know a lot of people, and Lane has joked about this, say not so nice things about Charlie Weiss, but like the last couple of weeks, the game plan has been elite, and I would have to think that they've probably got something up their sleeves for this one.
Yeah, and I think literally this is just me talking. I think there's a chance we see both quarterbacks on the field at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we know he's not technically injured, according to the report. But here's the thing: the more looks that you can give them, the better. I mean, why would you go out there and say this guy's out? That's dumb. Yeah. Make them worry about more stuff. They're so different.
Yeah, and he practiced this week, which he hadn't practiced the previous 2 weeks. So if he was available in those games, he's definitely available in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and again, they do different things well, and I do think there is something to be said for the lefty versus righty and kind of having to switch on that on the fly. Again, I know I don't want to pimp my own story out again, but it does take some adjusting, especially mid-game. If you're a defensive back, with the way the ball tails and the way it veers, I would not put anything past Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss in terms of scheming something up like that.
All right. What have you got going on at the Daily Journal right now, man?
Got a lot of preview stuff coming up. Did a nice Q&A with LSU's beat writer, Wilson Alexander. He is one of the best. He actually wrote a really nice story on Blake Baker this week, and I think last week had a really good one on Harold Perkins, who we obviously talked about earlier. Just a lot of preview stuff. Who has the edge in certain areas, kind of keys to the game. Had one yesterday about how does Ole Miss's run game, which has been far better than it was a year ago, match up with this very, very good LSU run defense. I think there might be some things they can exploit if Pro Football Focus's information didn't lead me astray, which I don't think it did. They're usually pretty good. I think it's an interesting matchup on that one too.
All right, it should be pretty good. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, so Google Ole Miss podcast and see how much this show comes up. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's completely free. Your support means the world to us. In another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation, a two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, and former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's panel of local experts. I'm on this week, by the way. A college football preview that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.